What is going on, guys? It is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and tonight's show is going to be packed. We're going to talk about a new movie called Moonfall. Very, very creepy considering what we covered last year with the mysterious video that was put out by a supposed military member saying something was going to happen to our moon. Now they say in this movie trailer, of course, in this fictional movie, that in 2022, the moon will come down and destroy the Earth. Very creepy. On top of that, we're going to talk about, of course, China talking about getting rid of their first strike, their promise not to do a first strike. So all of that and more in just a minute. So stick around for this live call-in show. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. All right, what is going on? What is happening, folks? It is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Tonight is a live call-in show, so remember 224-400-MARF. You want to get in early if you do want to get onto the show. So we're going to go over a whole lot of stuff, but first of all, I just wanted to make sure that we show all of our new people exactly how you can actually access all of the sources here on the show. So I'll just show you real quick on our website, marfooglenews.com. We make sure to back up all of the documents, video, tweets, again, articles that we show you here on the show will all be on our website. Just go to this thumbnail, Moonfall in the year 2022. And then, of course, the show is called The Year 2022. Subject to change. And then, of course, when you click on that, you'll see that we have every single thing backed up. That way you know exactly where you're getting your news from. Now, again, you can follow along, you can read ahead, you can read retrospectively and go back and check my work. And then, of course, at the very bottom, there is web-only content. Anything that is too far to one side or the other, you can actually go for and read yourself. Again, that's some pretty hot and heavy stuff. And then, of course, on the right side, if you do want to support us in any way, over on that side, there is all of our affiliates. Affiliates are how most YouTubers now in this ecosystem survive. So, again, if you want to support Dex and I and this show, then please consider those. Otherwise, this is a free show, and I really, really appreciate each and every one of you that does the share, subscribe, like buttons, if they do work indeed. I would hope they would. All right, let's bring in my co-host / internet brother / on the phones tonight at 224-400-MARF. Dex James, what is going on, and how are you doing tonight?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So, okay, so we have so much crazy stuff going on. California saying that they're going to get rid of all, they want to have zero emissions by 2030 and autonomous vehicles. That will be talked about. Of course, China, main officials saying that they want to get rid of the first strike, the promise not to first strike. I don't know why I keep saying that. Really, really creepy stuff. And then Moonfall. We have some pictures to show you from that. I watched the trailer. It is very, very creepy considering everything we've talked about over the last 3 years and exactly you guys know my theory. It's like somebody took my theory and took it and of course put it into a Hollywood film. So let's get right into the news. Of course, California makes zero emissions autonomous vehicles mandatory by 2030. This is kind of insane in today's day and age. You're thinking, okay, getting rid of gas-powered cars, or this is most likely going to be, electric vehicles, but also autonomous vehicles by 2030. Now, 2030 seems like it's really far off, but if you think about it, if you remember 2012 and the Rock movie that came out, or what was it? What was that guy? The 2012 movie, The Day After Tomorrow, all those movies that came out around then because we thought it was going to be the end of the Mayan calendar. Think about how short of a time that was ago. That is how much time we have until 2030. Now, there is an agenda as well that is named by that same year. So, a lot of things are lining up. Now, of course, that is, I believe, part of that overall agenda that they have. And it is pretty strong there. As far as autonomous vehicles, we're looking at like a Fifth Element planet with all of these autonomous vehicles flying around. And I should say flying around because now they are introducing all of these weird flying drone things. Maybe it will be easier. But again, what will they do with the regular cars? Are gas-powered cars going to be kept in a bubble city or something? Will you have to, go and drive on certain highways that are still there for recreational purposes only? Or will we even be able to drive that? It seems to me like by then we won't have any rights to, travel freely or anything. Just a thought. Maybe we will. Who knows? It says, starting in 2030, California will require all light-duty autonomous vehicles that operate in the state to emit zero emissions. Signed into law by Governor Gavin Newsom Thursday, SB 500 represents the latest effort, again, by the state to limit the sale of new internal combustion vehicles with an eye towards reducing greenhouse emissions. In 2020, Newsom actually signed an executive order that effectively banned the sale of new gasoline and diesel-powered vehicles by 2035. So I guess 2035 would be like the ultimate cutoff, right? Banning the sale 14 years away of this, when they say, in all of these kind of fearful things about the environment, they say that we have like 12 years until we're at the point of no return. So I don't know what 2035 would actually do if we stopped doing it by then. I think that they're going to push to do this much earlier than that. Like I said, we have an entire world that is dependent on oil. In fact, the gold, the oil dollar has been why we have started conflicts all over the world for oil. That oil has driven conflicts all over the place. So think about this. Now that we are switching what we are dependent on, guess what? There's going to be a transfer of power and at least a transfer of what money is actually backed on, what people are going to be fighting over for. What is going to be the resource? Some actually think that we are the resource, that human beings will be the resource in the future. Who knows? Again, electricity and electric vehicles and things like this will take our dependence off of these other things, which we've gone to conflicts over for years. So some pretty crazy stuff is happening. Obviously, that's why some people think that this whole resetting of everything is because they are going to have to. Who knows? What do you think? Put it in the comments below. I'd love to hear your opinion. Watch Phone Alert, thank you for popping in already. Miriam Dana and Born Free. Mick Van Sickle, thank you for being the last one out. And then EMP Show, thank you for supporting last night and stopping by. It says, engineers figured out how to cook 3D printed chicken with lasers. That might sound like something out of Star Trek, but it's actually apparently something that is happening. So my guess on this, and it kind of explains it, but is that it's like some sort of chicken paste and it's being 3D printed at the same time as a laser cooking each little spot. So as it prints, it cooks and it can actually print out like a chicken nugget. That might sound kind of funny, but if you kind of look at this picture, you kind of get the idea. It is printing and cooking at the same time. So where have you seen this? Most likely Star Trek with the replicators. As far as, hey, you want some coffee? And then it just makes a little buzzy noise and it makes you a coffee cup and all. So this is something that is coming closer. Will this get to the point where we will basically eat this paste that is then cooked by lasers and then turned into an edible dish? It's actually very likely. Scientists talked about this 2 or 3 years ago when 3D printing was prevalent in all of these research labs. They were looking on how they could actually do this. Dex, I think that you were with me when we first started talking about the kind of Star Trek replicator kind of technology as far as all of this. Now it's happening. So again, this is something...
Yeah, this is kind of crazy. I mean, it's not mainstream, but it's definitely the first step, right?
I mean, yeah, when we first mentioned it, people laughed and people said, LOL, yeah, sure. That was like a year ago. And now they are already saying that they have had first successes in doing so. So some pretty crazy stuff there. There is a video that is attached to that. It will be at marfooglenews.com if you want to see the kind of demonstration that they have done there. And then China enforces power rationing at major industrial hubs amid shortages and the climate push. So it's happening all over the world. It says a perfect storm of increased power demand and the calls to reduce carbon emissions has resulted in power rationing all across China. This is according to Bloomberg, citing a new report from Friday, the 21st Century Business Herald. It says power curbs are being forced into major factory hubs in more than 10 provinces, including Jiangsu, Zhejiang, and then, of course, Guangdong, one of the third provinces that ended up coming down with the sieve. And it says local governments ordered power cuts to meet carbon emission rules. Following the country's top economic planner outlining how an economic rebound in the year's first half resulted in high carbon emissions in 9 different provinces. It says the Business Herald reported soaring coal prices causing pain for power plants that have reduced power output, creating electricity supply gaps in some provinces. If those gaps are persistent, though, through the winter season, larger power curtailments could be ahead. It says Kayaxin reports that Zhejiang, that the government ordered at least 160 energy-intensive companies to suspend operations to reduce carbon emissions. Many of these companies are chemical fiber industries. The halt in operations is expected to last from September 21st to 30th. So another theory that I have seen all over Twitter and other places is that the carbon that they are trying to cut out is us. We emit carbon dioxide, and of course, you know, we have our own carbon emissions, right? And if we have enough humans, that would emit more carbon emissions than most things, right? And of course, trees breathe in carbon and turn it back into oxygen, and then we breathe it in again, right? So as far as that theory, there are some pretty trippy things here. Like it kind of makes it. It makes you wonder about a lot of things that people are being required to do right now. Also trippy, I did tweet out a video that was by the AJ, who was very famous back in the day, but then got knocked off of every platform. There was a video there that he did in 2018 that is absolutely, in fact, actually, I believe it was early 2018, before the start, in January of 2019, when all of this stuff kind of started. And you could say, you know, all the way back to November when we first found out about this whole thing here, this thing. So again, very crazy video. You should watch that video. Make sure to go over and follow my Twitter at Marfoogle. If you do want to call in, you can call in right now. The number is 224-400-MARF. I just want to say thank you to a couple people. Thank you so much for popping in already. Just Me Estatu. Thank you. Let's see here. It looks like Mick Van Sickle. Thank you again last show. And then I think I missed Just Me Estatu last night. And then Watchful Alert, Delaware Sasquatch says anyone who believed CCP's promise of no first strike in the first place needs to remember China promises its carrier was for scientific purposes and that their labs were not the source of spiked bugs. Delaware Sasquatch, I don't know what to think anymore. You know, again, if you look at it, those places were funded by people over here. So who the heck knows? Bright Eyes, thank you so much. I appreciate your support. Thank you for the super sticker. Same with Watchful and Alert. Thank you, everybody that has popped in tonight to support and to show love. So, last part here, though, it says power cuts were also issued across 14 cities in northern province of Liaoning after the grid suffered supply shortfalls. So China is supposedly having all of these power shortfalls. Is it really the U.S. or another country actually doing some dirty business there? That was suggested as well. It says new reports suggest Texas grid was 5 minutes from a catastrophic failure. So this again is something we've talked about many times. We actually have a video that we will probably show you very soon, as far as some big names talking about what is possible here with EMP and everything else. I hope that people are paying attention right now, because there are things like this that should open most people's eyes and get them to have prep, especially Texas, out of all the places, especially after that snowstorm that knocked power out and basically stranded everybody. Times like that, it is absolutely imperative that you have basic supplies, that you have food and water and everything else. I hope people are actually, taking heed to that advice, even if it means doing, $5 a week, going to Alaska Prepper and trying to get, on that payday prep plan of just doing $5 or $10 every 2 weeks. If that's what it takes, then people need to do that. It says, with autumn arriving in much of the U.S., it won't be long before parts of the country start experiencing cold weather again. Texas residents can be forgiven for the thought of triggering a bit of PTSD, given that last winter saw the near collapse of the state's power grid. It said that leaving many residents without power for several days of below freezing weather. A long list of factors contributed to the mess, and in the immediate aftermath, it was difficult to understand the relative importance. But now, grid regulatory and governance groups have put together a preliminary report on the event, along with some recommendations of avoiding future calamities. It says that the central conclusion is that the grid failure was tightly coupled with the failure of the natural gas supply, in part because natural gas processing facilities were among the places that saw their power cut. That's kind of weird that they said they saw their power cut. It says the preliminary report was put together by the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, or the FERC, in combination with the North American Electric Reliability Corporation, which we've talked about that. Again, that's something we've read the reports on. A nonprofit set up by utilities to help set standards and practices that keep the grid stable. The draft itself isn't being released at this point, but the two have been posted on a detailed presentation that describes the report's contents. A final version will be released in November, so then we will actually follow up on this story and bring it back. But again, it says the outlines of February's grid problems is well understood. A severe cold snap raised demand at the same time as it caused failure of many of the generating sources in the area affected. The problem struck a number of states, but only Texas's ERCOT grid suffered severe failures. The neighboring Southwest Power Pool suffered 5 hours when it exceeded its generating capacity. But because of its tight integration with the neighboring grids, it was able to call upon 13 gigawatts of the generation capacity in states farther east. Texas grid is so poorly integrated into the rest of North America that it did not have much help. As a result, demand exceeded capacity for 3 consecutive days, with the largest deficit being 20 gigawatts. Again, a gigawatt is gigantic. It can power, I believe, thousands of homes, a small town or a city. You're talking about 20 of those. I want to say that our largest plant, I don't know if you remember, Dex, but it was like our largest plant puts out like 1.3 gigawatts or something a day or something like that. It was so that is I believe that's a really, really absurd number. It says for over 4 minutes, the ERCOT's grid frequency dropped from the standard 60 hertz to 59.4 hertz. Had ERCOT stayed at that frequency for 5 more minutes, Additional generating sources would have tripped offline, sending all of ERCOT into a cascading blackout. So they would have had some serious issues. They would have had a literal disaster, something that was way bigger than what it was. See, the power went out and it went, voluntarily, and they kind of rolled around. But we're talking about something that would have damaged the system and actually knocked out. And you would have had one of the largest states, the size of 4 states, essentially have the same kind of disaster that we would all have under an EMP. I mean, like, it says fuel type of generating units that experience unplanned outages and derates. And it, of course, shows gas was this big one. I wonder why they say that they, of course, saw their power cut. So the power cut to the gases, and that possibly could have caused. So here's where this should be in your mind. You should obviously think about this. And, there is no place that does not have its issues, its natural occurring disasters, its earthquakes, its hurricanes, its tornadoes, all of these things, its typhoons. There is something that you can prepare for, and it is something that most people do not do because it's not convenient and it actually takes effort to do. There are much bigger things coming than any of these things. And they are telling us, the United States government and the Department of Homeland Security is telling quietly everybody to have 6 months to a year of food. At the same time, they have set up all across the country. So I don't know what the hell is going on. We're either going to conflict in our country with ourselves or with another country, or we're going to be attacked. We already have been, or all of the above. Possibly they are expecting Planet X. I don't know. When we talk about the moon later, it's definitely a trip. Dex. Now, again, if you want to call in, the number is 224-400-MARF. Again, it looks like the first caller ended up dropping out, so we'll get them back on in a second. Again, that is 2244-006273. If you do want to get in tonight, this would be a good night to do so. Meanwhile, I will make sure to remind you, of course, EMP Shield is actually going to be, again, doing the $50 off per device. Make sure to go over and check them out, marfooglenews.com/EMP. If you want to protect yourself against an EMP, there is no better way. Of course, we actually have some really cool stuff that we're going to be showing you pretty soon here. As far as this goes, there are some really, really amazing people over there at EMP Shield. As you know, these people actually care about their customers. There was at one point where they got these huge government contracted with agencies like DHS, DOD. Of course, now they're on the DEMSO team helping protect that same Texas grid. And we didn't know if they were going to keep selling these to civilians. For now, they still are. They again had this huge contract. Their demand was through the roof. In fact, their government demand was so busy for a while there that they had to actually delay their shipping for consumers temporarily last year. Now that is over. Now they still have that same quick shipping that they always have. Again, you can actually protect your car, your house, your generator, your solar system, your RVs, your boats, your motorcycles. This will save lives in the event of an EMP or a Carrington-level solar event. Anybody that has done their research on the solar events knows we are not only in cycle 25, one of the craziest predicted cycles ever, around 2024, but we are also overdue for a Carrington-level event. Happens on average every 150 years. We're on about 160. So again, go over to marfooglenews.com/EMP. Again, if you get multiple devices or even one, $50 off per device. All right. And then make sure to call in at 224-400-MARF. We'll try to get that caller back on. And then it says, China declares all cryptocurrency transactions are illegal. This is a huge, huge deal. As far as calling all crypto illegal, this must have hurt, of course, crypto prices around the world. I would love to go over to the chat for this. What do you guys actually think about this? Do you think that they are going to keep this around? Why do you think that they are blocking this? Let's see here. It says, Mark Hall, I says, I used to live in Cadillac, Michigan. What is going on? East Tennessee Preparedness, Humberto Arias. It says it is not for oil or energy. It's to usher in the new anti-crunch system. Total enslavement, and will use any excuse to push it. Wake up. And then 224400 Marf is the number to call. Able Body, thank you for putting that out there. Alex77 says competition. Competition, yeah. So a lot of people think that they are coming out with their own blockchain-based, gold-backed currency that they want to replace the U.S. dollar. And with the amount of infiltration they've done in other countries, some are pretty fearful of that. It says, I think whatever the government says it is, right? JW. Roman Wolf says, because they don't want anonymous transactions. In a total control society, Big Brother must know all privacy is bad. See, that's why I thought that they wanted to do their own so they could track it, because I think crypto can be. Here's the thing. Just recently, there were these very strange instances where there was a ransomware attack, and they ended up tracking down through the company that was the middleman. They ended up tracking down at least half of the money. It was like $6 million, and they tracked down $3 million and got it back to one of the victims. I want to say that might have been Colonial Pipeline. Like, they got back some of their money, or it was one of the huge hacks. It might have been the meat farm that was a big infrastructure one, or one of those, right? So it was around that same time period. They tracked it down. A lot of people question, like, you know, how did they do that? Well, of course, if the middleman kind of busts them out. But I don't know. I still don't. I think that if the governments are going to head towards crypto, that's when I'll start to wonder how actually anonymous it stays. Either way, it's theirs and still be a form of digital currency, says Paul, servant of Jesus. And then Vape King, we've got Rip Curl Readiness. McAfee warned to get our own crypto going before the government figured out their own. That is true. He warned a lot of stuff that has come true. Hodgepodge, thank you. Liked and shared. I appreciate that. Mark Hall, happy birthday there on the 1st. That's actually a cool birthday. 1110. And then Tree Hookers, YTO, Island by the Sea. What's going on? Chuck Jenkins. We should all be talking about how to beat 19. Beat it. I guess we could listen to Michael Jackson. Paul Stone, Marf, what is going on? How are you doing? And then Brownberry Perp. We've got Craig Boudre, John Taylor, almost 800 likes. Let's get that to double and double it again. Thank you guys. I really do appreciate that. Bear Claws, Chance Paladin is in the house. Rusty Prepper, Brian Straub. Thank you. Thank you everybody that reminds people to do that too. I noticed that. So it says that China's central bank has announced that all transactions of cryptocurrencies are illegal, effectively banning digital tokens such as Bitcoin. It says virtual currency-related business activities are illegal financial activities, the People's Bank of China said, warning it seriously endangers the safety of people's assets. China is one of the world's largest cryptocurrency markets. So obviously this hurts. It says fluctuations there often impact the global price of cryptocurrency. The price of Bitcoin fell more than 2,000 in the wake of the Chinese announcement, which is pretty huge. It said it is the latest in China's national crackdown on what it sees as a volatile, speculative investment at best and a way to launder money at worst. It says trading cryptocurrency has officially been banned in China since 2019, but has continued online through foreign exchanges. However, there has been a significant crackdown this year. It says in May, Chinese state intuitions warned buyers that they would have no protection for continuing to trade Bitcoin and other currencies online as government officials vowed to increase pressure on the industry. It told banks and payment platforms to stop facilitating these transactions and issued bans on mining the currencies, the trade of using powerful computers to make new coins. It says, but Friday's announcement is the clearest indication yet that China wants to shut down cryptocurrency trading in all of its forms. The state makes clear that those who are involved in illegal financial activities are committing a crime and will be prosecuted. So, Dex, I know that you're going to be on the phone, but when you get a chance, you are a crypto expert here and love to hear your opinion on all of that. And I'm sure you know a lot of people that have probably invested heavily in Bitcoin and probably were in pain today.
Well, I think, there's the real question is, why are they doing this, right? And I think the answer to that is probably something to do with the fact that they're rolling their own crypto, they're trying to create their own currency, and how that actually plays into where they're going globally with their economy and their dollar, right, so to speak, right? And so that's like the biggest worry I have when it comes to them banning and blocking that, is that they're really trying to control absolutely this currency platform that they've created and allow none other but their own.
Now, Delaware Sasquatch made a really awesome comment here. It says, destroy other cryptocurrencies before they tout theirs. And it says, real reason for any energy rationing, perhaps. It is kind of funny that we're reading these articles on the same day. All of a sudden, they're rationing energy, which, again, if they're rationing power usage, they would also be rationing those illegal, as far as the mining activities. They probably see these different places, and they're using a lot of power. They're rationing that. They would also be controlling the creation of new coins. So very, very, I guess, just smart way to think as far as thinking outside the box. And then D. Freeman, thank you for subscribing. I appreciate that. Miriam Dana, again, thank you for coming in early. And then over on D Live, we've got Gone Girl 777. We've all been praying for you. I hope you are okay. It says, doctors trying to find a way to help me. It is rough. I love you all. Everybody, Gone Girl was in the hospital, and everybody was praying for you. Over on Twitter, you had other people that needed prayer themselves praying for you. So everybody really, people notice when just anybody is gone. In fact, that we have so many regulars in our show. I see at least 1,000 in chat right now that have been with me for almost 3 years. So that's pretty crazy. So anybody that ends up, I almost thought, like, what could we do for just in general when things happen? I really wish we still had our Discord. Scooby-Doo Do-Right, again, thank you for being here. Maui Racing Realtor, thank you for dropping a lemon in there. Hags5996 says, happy Friday, Foogle family, Adam, Dex, and Mods. Hey, and then Gone Girl says, they don't know why I'm having severe attacks. Me either. I hope I can figure it out right. And then I got to get plugged into a sleep monitor here shortly. They're going to hate my dreams. I'll have them jumping. Well, try to stay relaxed and try to stay healing. And then Battleborn111 says, power to the people. Truth wins. Would love to get groups going again. Love to all. Again, I think you said that before I even talked about Discord. So, yeah, I know. Everybody's been thinking about it a lot. Generator, we've had, J-Stone did a lot of work in there. A lot of people did a lot of work, but, J-Stone did a ton. Same with, Clan Mama. Clan Mama, I don't even... we don't really see her much anymore. It's really sad what happened, and it was all political. It didn't have anything to do with us. It was all around that time. They just got rid of anybody that swayed to one direction, and if they had a certain percentage of one direction on that platform and a bigger group, we had 15,000 members. They just got rid of it for no reason at all. Said it was some that were spreading. We didn't actually spread anything, so our Discord should not have been taken. That was bull. That was the bullish. And then Lisa K23, prayers for Gone Girl and Johnny's nephew. That is awesome, and that was actually before she popped in, so everybody's thinking about you. Barbara Jagal. What is that? Barbara Jagal says heads on swivels. That's right. I hope everybody pays attention right now. I believe we are right at the doorstep of conflict. We're going to be at war. I honestly, I don't see how people aren't seeing it. I think it will play into the bigger picture of their game. Virtual Anna says, happy Friday, everyone. And then the Real Sift and everybody else that has just popped in tonight. Again, Barbara Jagal, thank you so much for your massive support. Zippy Moons, love you all. Watch the replay. Nothing but love for Gone Girl. Sending prayers. And then Lisa K, love for Gone Girl. You got a lot of people that care about you here. Kimberly Clemens, it's nice to see you again after a few days at least, I believe. And then Patriska JFN57, thank you. All right, and then we have Joseph Newhouse on the phone. Matrix Resurrections wants to talk about that. Oh man, as far as I'm sure that's going to be loaded with predictive programming and all sorts of stuff. Randall Edge, thank you. Hello, Foogle family. Waving from Raleigh, North Carolina. I don't get to watch and chat very often due to work schedule. So when I do it good. Thank you all for your much needed information. All right, Dex, let's get Joseph on. And then, Joseph, you're live on Marfoogle
Adam,
News.
How are you feeling?
Hey, good. How are you, man?
I'm feeling good, man. So, yeah, I made this video. I mentioned it a few days ago, but this is something you were talking about like 10 days ago. So with the Matrix Resurrections movie, but also this article, they said we're going to bring back the mammoth and for fighting sea change, quote. And so the name of the company is what I thought was kind of interesting, Colossal. And so I was like looking up the word colossal, and I came to Colossus, and this is like if you're looking at the video, it's at about 45 seconds. There's a picture of the Colossus of Rhodes, and it was like this apparently Greek statue standing over, I guess, the harbor or something like that. And he has like a torch similar to the statue we have. And so I thought that was interesting. And then you were also talking about, at Elon Musk changed their username on Twitter. And so I went into the etymology because he changed it to name, just name. Remember that?
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
And anyway, I don't know. But so I was looking up name, and it says denoting a person or thing. And so this is on Etymology Online Dictionary. And so I looked up denote, and it says to identify by a mark. And so I thought that was kind of strange. And
name check mark?
Then with this, yeah. And then with the Matrix movie, I don't know if you saw the trailer, but it looks like Neo's been taking the blue pill as, kind of different to what the movies were before. And I related it to this music video that I saw a while ago. And also, it's just a short video, but at the end I kind of related it to, because the scriptures say, it says Christ in you is the hope of glory. So I included this 2 Thessalonians 1:10. It just talks about when he shall come to be glorified in his saints. And kind of a fun video. I used the music from like an old video game at the beginning, and yeah, I don't know if you might like it.
Well, and by the way, so I know that Elon did not change his name to just, there is an internal meaning, and it's probably got 6 different meanings. It's not just, I just changed it to be fun. Oh, well, name. My name is name. He named his children after things. I mean, these things are all on purpose. He does everything on purpose. Like, this is like crazy stuff that is super just out there, right? So most people think he's trolling.
Really strange.
I don't think he's trolling. I think he's the fact that name, the first thing that pops up, it says word by which a person or thing is denoted, name, reputation, It says marked, and then name, and then check mark. I don't know. It's just, the whole thing is weird. His Twitter is just so cryptic, and if you want, symbology, that's the Twitter to follow.
Yeah, I don't even follow it really, but I heard about it.
He's done so many different little things, and as far as he thinks about it, he doesn't just tweet anything. He actually, I'm sure the guy probably spends hours before he does a song reference. He does these weird song references that reference the end of the world. It's just like, for a man in his position, which he's now on so many different committees, boards, he knows top secret information. He's working with the government on, digging holes under the ground, going to space, possibly getting humankind to Mars, connecting us to computers to defeat AI, or to stop AI from becoming too advanced. And then, of course, he's with our power grid, and he's our internet, Starlink, and everything else. I mean, the guy is definitely out there. It's just nuts.
Got a lot going on.
That is for sure. Is there anything else that you wanted to point out, Joseph?
Well, thanks for doing your show, and I don't know if you already mentioned that movie thing. I saw you added that. I watched the trailer for the show. It is kind of interesting, I guess. And hey, if you ever need a new mod, I don't know if I'm perfect mod material, but I would do it.
Well, Joseph, thank you, and very much considered. You are always polite, and you've been here for a long time, so thank you. Again, thank you so much for calling in, and I appreciate you. And again, Joseph, you have a wonderful night, and I appreciate everything you do, okay?
You too. Thanks, Adam. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. I actually don't think that would be that bad of a fit. Randall Edge, hello, Foogle family. Again, thank you. And then XXF80 Grinding XX says, Bitcoin is traceable. Privacy coins like Pirate Chain aren't not traceable to do. It's ZK Snarks coding. I don't know what that means. Maybe Dex knows what that means. I don't know. It's ZK Snarks coding. Snarks. That's above my head. Oh, Sherry Carroll, I missed it. It says, just a reminder that the Bible is basic instructions before leaving Earth. Much love to all. I love it. Thank you. And then if you want to get to Joseph Newhouse's video on Elon Musk, name, and the woolly mammoths, you can actually do so at marfooglenews.com, where he talks about Matrix Resurrections and how he's taking the blue pill. I love, he actually, Joseph is super respectful. He always puts our link, and then he puts Jacob Israel's link. He watches both and just participates and does all sorts of really awesome stuff. He always puts proper credit down there. That's really cool. Okay. And then we have People's Liberation Army sends 24 warplanes to Taiwan's air zone in show of force. So this is not last week's news. This is, again, it says as many as 24 mainland Chinese warplanes entered, of course, their airspace. It says, including 18 fighter jets, 2 bombers, 2 anti-submarine aircraft, a transport, and an electronic warfare plane entered the southwest of the self-ruled islands ADIZ. It says, according to Taiwan's defense ministry. In response, our Air Force scrambled jets, issued radio warnings, and deployed air defense missile systems to monitor the activities of the planes, the ministry said in a statement. It says observers said the show of force was the largest since China sent, of course, I believe it was 27 planes. Again, it actually it cuts out right there, so I don't know what that number is. It says a map released by the ministry showed some of the jets flew in a long L-shaped path at Taiwan's southwest ADIZ, And it says it was the 20th time that PLA planes had entered Taiwan's ADIZ this month. 20th time. Dex, I'm gonna bring you in here, and again, thank you for managing the craziness on the phone. We have not only covered this multiple times, but then each time it was getting bigger and bigger. One thing with this is, like, don't you think that one of these they're doing this so many times that they're kind of getting used to it, and then the final time it won't be a drill and they'll keep going? I believe that's why Taiwan is scrambling every single time, treating it as a real event.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, how many times is it going to take? All it takes is one accident and something can get set off. And all it takes is one time to look, to do drills 100 times, and the 101th can actually not be a drill, but you would think it is, right?
Again, in history, we've actually seen all the way back to, conflicts before we had electricity, that they have done exercises or drills or war games that have actually been cover for a real event. It's like a trick play. As far as them going into the DIZ, it's like they're getting it down. They're practicing until they finally do it. To anyone doubting that they're taking Taiwan 100%. Well, I should say the only way they're not taking Taiwan is if our allies, possibly not even us, some of our allies come to their defense and fight like hell. Or somehow something happens and they don't even fire a bullet and they take the island because they don't want everybody to be taken down. Or we end up fighting like hell and going into a whole world conflict. I don't know what's going to happen, but I know they're taking Taiwan. Taiwan means a whole lot more than Hong Kong. Hong Kong already had a preset kind of agreement. They were going to switch over to mainland China's laws a lot later. It seems to me like China has sped up their timelines on everything. So if people don't see that China is about to start acting, I don't know what to say. They've cut English schools out of their thing. They're cutting all Western world influence out of their country. They're separating everything. They're turning on their intranet. They're keeping everything in. And now the only reason that foreigners had to be there, because you can't, as a foreigner, you can't just go there to stay. In fact, almost all of the foreigners there had to be a specialist of some kind. If it wasn't a specialist as far as like an English teacher, it had to be some sort of doctor. It had to be something like this. Well, they're cutting all of that out. Look at everything together. Don't look at anything separate. They are massively preparing, making every last branch of their military the largest in the world, making their civilian boats and craft able to actually dump out all of their tanks and Humvees and everything else. You're talking about a civilian ferry that has a nose that can just drop up and unload like a amphibious assault vehicle. For people that are asleep, we may have some visitors knocking on our door. What do you think? Put it down below. I'd love to hear your opinion as far as their intrusions into Taiwan. They're continuing. And then, of course, China must be prepared to strike first using nukes, top diplomat says. It says China must be prepared to make the first nuclear strike in response to growing U.S. presence in the region and AUKUS strategic partnership. Senior diplomat declares. It says China must be ready to use nuclear weapons and should abandon its no first use policy to push back against the alliances forming in the Pacific, a senior diplomat has said. It says Xia Zhukang, the country's former ambassador to the UN, told a summit of Chinese nuclear policy experts that it was time to re-examine a fine-tune a long-standing commitment to only use nukes in retaliation to the U.S. build new military alliances, and as it increases its military presence in our neighborhood. Beijing's current policy, which has been in place since the 1960s, has given China the moral high ground, but it is not suitable unless China-U.S. negotiations agree that neither side would use nuclear weapons first, he said at a meeting in Beijing last week. So, as far as the AUKUS, they're saying that that's a big bad threat. Really, they're telling they've told their country that we were the root of the CV and everything around it. They said that it was made in a U.S. base here. They just told that to all of their public through their official mouthpieces, which is taken as gospel by most of the older generation. By the newer generation, it doesn't matter. They just have to follow what they say anyways. They're setting up and they're pumping their men up to go to conflict. They're telling their soldiers to get prepared for war and to say goodbyes to your families. That's the kind of mentality China has. China is savage as far as the government, and in fact, as far as I would not, if I was in a conflict as a soldier, I don't know. China would be one of the countries I would probably not want to go up against. Japan is definitely one of them. The Japanese have a lot of honor and a lot of integrity. As far as the Chinese people, they are incredibly smart. I believe every part of the world has extreme strengths. China does have intelligence. And people think that I don't know how people don't realize how smart the Chinese culture and how that is structured to where it's, education over anything. If you are educated, you are going to be more powerful than people that are not educated. You see it in every class in the world. Doesn't matter what country, and if it's a third world country, this and that. The people with the knowledge, the people with the information are the most powerful. If you own information, you own the world. As far as this goes, Dex, what does this remind you of? We talked about a certain group of people resigning. Do you think that these may be related? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, the scientists.
Yes. Can you explain what happened
there was like
there?
90 top nuclear scientists that all resigned at the same time. So between 70 and 90. It was a significant number, almost 100. And then we also heard one where one of them mysteriously died, I think, from a fall. I can't remember if it was a fall or something else, but it was a mysterious death.
Off the top of a skyscraper.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
So when you have basically half, they had around 185 185 to some estimates up to 200 nuclear scientists. These are men that are extremely trained. These are people you can't just replace. Anybody that watches the show knows I've said this before, but for any new people, it was about 6, 7, 8 months ago, maybe even a year ago. All of a sudden, 90 of their nuclear research and development nuclear scientists all left at the same day. They all resigned. What the hell kind of brief were they given? And now we're hearing this. It kind of is like, I'm not trying to stretch here, but it seemed then, even Australian news and other news, and we're not talking about some of the more popular this leaning or that leaning, a very neutral Australian news and a very neutral Brazilian news looked at that and said, this looks like these scientists didn't want blood on their hands and that China was planning a first strike with nuclear conflict. We said that back then, that they didn't want blood on their hands, right? Now we see that that the talk back then, and he was ambassador, I believe, at that. I don't know when this man was the ambassador, the person. But now we're hearing about this, right? It would make sense because for you to give up a position like that, and again, it's not like you just quit and go get another job on LinkedIn. This is China. You're screwing over the government. It's going to be marked on your personal number. You're going to be tracked all the way through. You're going to be screwing your career. 90 scientists did that at the same time. They're not replaceable people. But then again, one of them, magically fell off of the top of a building just days later. How many of those scientists do you think went back to work after that? And then what are they planning? If you look at the grander picture of everything that they're doing all at once, it's pretty clear. I mean, it's like, if somebody had, 20 race cars, decals and all in their front yard, you'd go, okay, I think he's trying to build a race team, right? You wouldn't say, maybe he just likes, putting decals. Yeah, no, he likes decals a lot. Yeah. What do you think? Put in the comments down below. I appreciate Kelly Degland. Thank you so much. Degand. Appreciate your support tonight. And then we have more towns evacuated as volcanic eruptions on La Palma intensify. To the person that tweeted this was 12 hours old, I ended up saying that this just happened, and they were like, oh, well, it was a minor eruption. It was 12 hours old. Not really news. The thing is this can last for a very long time. In fact, I was watching a live stream with some others. I saw at Love and Life there. I saw quite a few users. I saw Kathy Paina. We haven't seen her in a bit. But we saw several Foogle family members in there. And several people were asking, how long do you think that this will last? Any eruption can last up to 10 years. So it's not really old news. It very well could be just kind of a geyser compared to what could happen. This volcano is the one that they believe that if this whole island split in half and it caused a fissure big enough, if that did fall in the ocean, it could cause a tsunami big enough to send 100-foot, 200-foot waves to the East Coast. Very scary thought. Now it is even picking up steam. No pun intended. It says intensifying volcanic explosions on the Spanish island of La Palma have forced firefighters to retreat and authorities to evacuate 3 more towns. While airlines canceled flights because of a cloud of gas and ash, the biggest since the volcanic eruption. It says firefighters pulled out of cleanup work in the town of Tudok on Friday afternoon as the new vent opened up in the flank of the volcano. Videos shared on the social media showed a massive shock wave emanating from the eruption site. It says a Reuters witness saw a huge gray cloud billowing from the top of the volcano on Friday afternoon, the largest since the eruption began on Sunday. It says, quote, the volcano is a newly explosive phase. Firefighters will not operate anymore today, tweeted the Tenerife Fire Service, which has been deployed to help on La Palma. So, again, more evacuations, a new big fissures opened up. I wonder if multiple of these fissures even if they connect and then boom. Who knows? The thing does not every time somebody says it's slowing down, it pops up a new huge bust out of lava. And then before we talk about House NDAA purposes, permanent UFO studying office within Pentagon, I do want to remind you right now, there is $100 off on 3-month supplies of food. Make sure to go over and check out Patriot Supply. Again, through our link, not only will you get a discount on certain items, but you will be helping support the show. Basically, this is a one-stop shop for all of your prep needs. Right now, especially, food is in high demands. We don't know how long they will actually even keep the $100 off on the 3 months because now food is in such high demand. Most companies aren't usually going to be even giving a discount on that kind of stuff, especially right now. Every single company that has prep food it has skyrocketed. Not only that, with news that Costco and all of these other stores have just warned their customers that right now is the beginning of the shortage, it'd definitely be a good time to do it. We let you know before, of course, CV even started. A lot of people had toilet paper. They had all this kind of stuff that everybody couldn't find at the shelves. All the Costco's were empty. Most of you guys were good. We believe we are about to hit the worst part of the shortage as far as almost everything, and we're especially even talking about anything. IKEA is empty. They said that they're not getting a load, or their return date is August in 2022. That's freaky to me. What is IKEA going to do? Is IKEA going to hit the same wall that Fry's Electronics did and just disappear? Seems unlikely, right? It's a huge company. It's one of the most famous companies in the world, but since they now rely with their Swedish design manufactured in China, they very well could be screwed, especially if China stops manufacturing for people at all. China just turned around from being a capitalist country since 1979. They just flipped the switch and just went right back overnight. In a matter of a week, they cut out English speaking, they cut out all this stuff, they just canceled everything. Everybody that I've actually showed the whole list of it, even people that are completely asleep, woke up. I've shown people and they're just absolutely blown away. They're like, whoa, how did I not hear about this? How did I not see this on the news? They don't want to panic you. It's pretty simple what's happening if you actually look at the facts, and we have backup. We have documents. We have everything. You put all that together, you would have to be, frankly, an idiot to not see the same signs that we are. We're not polling things like, putting, 2 and 25 together. We're putting 2 and 2 together. We're headed for this is the precipice of chaos. Gone Girl over on DLive. I hope you are being good and being nice to all of your nurses. Thank you all so much. I pray for all who need it and pray for all Fooglers. Gone Girl. Again, it says, driving in my last car, they're ready to put sensors. They're ready to put sensors in my head. They will find air. LOL. I'm sure they'll find more than that. Cloud Pharrell, we need another Discord. Yes. Again, you'll see. Brendan Henschel's shows have been fire this week. Thanks for the value. Brendan Henschel, hey, thank you for that, and I appreciate that coming from another creator. I appreciate you, and I hope that you guys are both doing well. I hope you and your wife are doing really fantastic. My wife was watching your wife not too long ago and said that she actually really likes her show. I told her why I like hosting you guys, because, again, we haven't had a chance. Your wife is always dependable. We know that we can host her because she's not going to start just going off and doing crazy stuff. Maui Racing Realtor, Angela 1609, JFN57 says, thank you for all your hard work, guys. Stay safe. The Real Sift and Ashley Nell. Renegade PD, thank you. Scooby-Doo Do-Right. Dex, let's get our next caller on, and then we'll talk about, of course, permanent UFO studying, and then, of course, earthquake protection, and we've got some pretty savage photos from this new movie here.
Yeah, you want your dad.
Hello, you are live on Marfoogle News.
Hey, Adam, how are you?
Good. So is it Mark, first-time caller?
First-time caller, long-time listener, since you were like day one in a long time. You're awesome. I'm so proud of you and happy for you.
Well, thank you. And Mark, nice to meet you. You wanted to talk about a shipping container in Cali. What's going on from Minnesota?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, if you know anything about what's going on there. I saw pictures of it, and even people were out there in their boats, live, kind of showing it. And it's what is going on? Do you have any idea why they're holding them out there or anything?
So, okay. So you're talking about the, they say at least 70 container ships off the water in California, correct?
Correct.
So can you see them from where you are? As far as, have you gone out there and you can see them all out there right now? Or is this recent?
No, not me. I've seen people take live, like, pictures of them on YouTube. And then even, like, from aerial views.
Yeah, so if you don't know what Mark is referencing, there are over 70...
LA Port.
Yeah, there's over 73 ships, and now I believe I heard a number of 99 ships was yesterday, I believe, or this morning. And then, again, crazy stuff here. So this is a picture kind of showing all of these ships, and they all have all of the supplies, including stuff that very well could be the IKEA stuff or anything else. Why are all of these ships out there? Why can they not unload these fast enough? You'd think they say that it's a shortage of workers. They say it's this. They say it's that. That doesn't make too much. I mean, like, I guess it makes some sense, but I mean, come on. You'd think they'd be working 24/7. You'd think they would hire temp workers. They would go to Labor Ready and grab some guys. Heck, at this point, you would think they would go to Home Depot and grab some dudes. Like, this doesn't make sense at all. And this is why all of the stores are short right now. And this is why some people are pissed off thinking, like, you know, are they doing this on purpose?
That's what it almost looks like right now. And then you don't hear about it on the mainstream news at all, do you?
No, and I think they only cover it because there's so many visible ships that people ask questions, and then they'll do a little article like that, and then it puts people at ease, like, oh, well, somebody's looking at it, so I don't have to think about it anymore. Somebody's handling it, but really then nothing gets done. Why are these ships not, what they should fit? Why are they not figuring out how to do this? I mean, this is hurting our economy right here. How can it back up this
and if
bad?
You look at just one of those right there if you've seen them up close, how gigantic and how much is on one of those. I mean, I don't even know how many containers. There's probably like 500 containers, like a semi truck full on one of those.
I know.
I say that might be short. I mean, you know what I mean? If you've seen remember the Suez Canal, I remember, I kind of heard they said, oh, it was a backup from the Suez thing or whatever. When one of those got
that's BS.
locked
Then,
in there, remember that?
Wait a second. So if that's the backup, why would it not? So Suez was only in there for 4 days. Okay, say that it made everything backed up, but you would think after 8 days, twice the time that it was backed up, it would be clear. Or just say, given it a rough 16 days or 4 times or a month. It has now been months, and they say that it's still backed up. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make sense to me. Can somebody make sense of that for me? Why the Suez, the 4 days that it was blocked? Did any of those ships go around Africa like they said? Because I don't think that even... That would explain a month ago or 2 months ago why this happened, but not now. What is happening here?
Right.
This is why Costco doesn't have its stuff.
If you look at that, I mean, that's really going to set a lot of... that's a lot. And then look what is behind that. And why is anything coming in? I mean, what's coming in? I heard Costco had some shortages. I don't know if you said it the other night, but actually, my dad even heard it on mainstream, just that. But so people just kind of, get prepared and be good with God. And,
Well, they say it's a crack in the supply chain. So if I was in charge of this, I would say, okay, what is the priority? What do we need first? What are we getting in here? Let's get it in here. Let's park it in. Let's get the stuff off of it. You would think that somebody would be getting fired right now. What is happening here? You would think they would get unskilled workers to come in or bring in people that are retired. Like, I'm sure all of the above are probably happening, but I mean, this is that people are going to go homeless because of this. People are not going to have food on their table. This is just stupid. This looks planned. This looks like something is happening. A couple of people that I was talking to thought that maybe all of these ships are out in the water because they don't know when something is about to hit or something was going to happen, and they need all of this stuff out, and after everything calms down, they would bring in all the supplies. I thought that was kind of a trippy trippy thought there. At least just for a thought exercise there. Why is it constantly backed up like this?
It could be for a good reason or a bad, and so that's what's going on right now. I mean, it's just total.
It's all
good
bad.
Versus evil.
It is all bad.
Yeah.
Well, Mark, it's nice.
Man, you're awesome. I just got to tell you that. I listen to you all the time. It's been years, so I appreciate you. You're so cool. Congratulations. Long-time listener here. I never really get on chat because I'm always on, like, YouTube, whatever, TV or whatever, so I can't chat back. But just so you know, I'm always here.
Hey, well, thank you and everyone else that watches on their home TV or wherever they watch it, or if they listen to it in the truck while they're driving, or in a warehouse, doing electrical work, or wherever you are watching the show. I appreciate you guys, and thank you so much for watching. Mark, thanks for calling in. I appreciate you, and you have a wonderful night, okay?
You bet, man. Marf out, buddy.
All right, you have a great night. God bless. All right, and then we have... House NDAA purposes permanent UFO studying office within Pentagon. Dex, do you want to pop in? Again, this is tucked into a Fiscal Defense Act. Is that right?
Yeah, that is. So, we've been talking about the UFOs and what the government has been doing. We had that big run up to a big release that seemed to be a nothing burger back in July or August. But we continue to see more activity from the government, and in this case, creating a specific, office within the Pentagon that's sole mission, I guess, is going to be studying the UFOs, right?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, do you think maybe this could just be a office that they could do super top secret stuff and put a ton of budget in and basically go in front of him and go, well, we don't know what this is, and it's flying over our nuclear silos, so we need another $1 billion for research?
I think it's padding. In other words, it's padding from the office that actually knows what's flying around up there, because there is an office somewhere in the Pentagon that probably knows everything that's going on and will never see the light of day or never tell us about it. So this is an office that'll sit in front of that and make us feel good because we have a UFO department there now.
Yep. So whether it be China, Russia, or ET phone home, it doesn't matter. They'll be there to pretend like it's all good and we've got it covered. This is tucked into the House of Representatives' lengthy fiscal 2022 National Defense Authorization Act proposal. Lawmakers are currently considering a provision to form a permanent office under the Defense Secretary where officials would investigate government and military-provided reports of unexplained sights in the sky. That pretty much sums it up. So they're talking about a permanent office. We'll follow it, and we'll let you know if this actually gets approved and put in. We will see. And then pulled this in. This was pretty interesting. This earthquake protection bed could save millions of lives. And I really wish things like this were affordable. It says the planet faces thousands of earthquakes each year, some of them lethal enough to cost human lives. With over 300 deaths and more than 1,800 injured, the recent earthquake in Haiti was the deadliest in 2021. It says the various earthquake-resistant technologies and systems, but there's still a lot that can be done to minimize damage and casualties. One Indian inventor has come up with a unique mechanism that could save lives during an earthquake. The invention is mainly targeted at people living in urban cities in high-rise buildings. It says a prototype of the earthquake protection bed is there, and it says founder of CEO of Proxg has filed patents with regulators in India for an earthquake protection bed. How it works is that the earthquake The earthquake protection bed uses an activation trigger from a sensory box that consists of accelerometers. gyro sensors, and microcontroller circuits running custom algorithms. So it's a cell phone, but as big as a bed. And unidirectional tunnel movement sensors to detect the occurrence of an earthquake within a fraction of a second, which is pretty messed up. Okay, so and it says once an earthquake is detected, the mechanism, which consists of a pair of anti-synchronized motors, which is activated and automatically encloses the bed with a reinforced slant canopy. This allows falling debris, which could otherwise cause damage or death, to simply slide off. The slant canopy, made of Kevlar reinforced with carbon fiber, is attached to the bed's periphery on one end and enclosed by a telescopic frame linked to the motors on the other. The earthquake detection sensors that trigger the protection mechanism can be placed on the bed or synced wirelessly with the motors. So, okay. But the funniest part is, like, I'm sure nobody next to a train station is going to do this. Say it looks like the guy's watching, 60 Days or something, or 60 Day Fiance or something, and then, oh my gosh, somebody walks by with a more than plump body, and boom, you're in a private little jail. This thing, I just wondered if you're in a high rise, if it's a big enough earthquake, this would become a death trap. It seems to me. Dex, I guess in the West Coast, if you're in a 1-story or 2-story house, this could be extremely, extremely awesome as far as, you could survive pretty much anything falling from a normal house.
Well, yeah, it could also be a lot of fun too. Like if you just shake that thing and scare the heck out of your significant other.
Yeah, like a pinball machine. Actually, it kind of looks like a pinball flipper. Yeah, so this is a pinball machine you don't want to shake, or at least not when anyone's sleeping in the bed.
But it does sound like you can get out of it pretty easily. When it goes up, it's just, you could just push it right back down. Assuming you're not trapped, right? But, at the same time, if you're trapped, then presumably it probably saved your life up until that point.
Who knows? Maybe you could because of this, you would be able to get out the back. I don't know. What do you guys think? Would you buy one? If you're on the West Coast, we're all going to go through a 5-minute earthquake. Would this even be strong enough for that? And they say it's carbon fiber. I don't really think that could that support could that stop a support beam for a house? I guess that would be the real testament. And if your building is pancaked, then good luck on that either. Then it would.
Well, they're estimating it to come out around $130. Which is not that bad when you think about it.
No.
I'd be shocked that it's really going to be that price.
No, that's BS. That's wishful thinking. Like, oh yeah, we're also going to have a bicycle in place that you can, get on for 30 minutes and you'll have power for a day in a third world country.
It's $130 for the platform,
but
not the canopy. The canopy, you have different variations you can buy, and that can run up to $900. Depending on the material.
Yeah. And carbon fiber alone is like super expensive. I was going to say $130 for the pamphlet to order it, right? Photographer who snapped border agents on horseback says images can be misconstrued. I guess, how would you misconstrue that? So are people making it look like they ran over people with the horse, or would it?
No, the debate is the horseback riders have and I don't remember the technical term for it. It might be in the article, but it's like a swinging line. It's part of the rein, and you can use it to sort of tap the horse on the back, swat the horse to sort of get direction, do what you want to do, in addition to using the reins. But you can also use it on the side just to sort of, swing it around in a circle, right? And what they were accused of doing was using
lassoing
it as a whip and just smacking people with it. But what has been seen are these pictures, and these pictures are really the riders just swinging it, trying to get people to stay away from their horses because they don't want them to approach the horse because that's dangerous for both them, the horse, and the person, right? Allegedly. So there's a whole uproar right now, and that's why a lot of people are And I think even the president came out today and attacked the Border Patrol, saying that they're at fault and they're going to pay for what they've done. I think something along those lines are almost his exact words. You can see it in up in the web only content. I think we got that in there. But this whole debate that's going on right now with the horses is what's going on. And what this is the photographer who I guess actually started it, not intentionally, but he just is the person responsible for taking these pictures that all of a sudden created this uproar of, these people basically cracking whips against Haitians, which is what's being alleged. But in reality, or maybe what's also being alleged in reality, is they're just swinging these, not lassos, but these reins that they have as part of their horse gear. And keeping people away. I mean, I'm sure they're swinging it around trying to say, stay back, stay back, stay back. But it's not like they're literally out there smacking people down. But at the same time, we've seen, like, look, hey, we saw the buses. They took over buses. They caused a disturbance on multiple airplanes where they had to stop the flights, right?
Where they were trying to kill people. So
so if you're on a horseback, I mean, you need to protect yourself, right?
Just hypothetically say they were. What if it was a police officer? If they're police officers or they're the equivalent, if they have a baton, because it looks like a whip, that's different. Like if it was a baton, and they're going, hey, if people are trying to grab them and topple over their horse, wouldn't that be considered self-defense? Or are the pictures showing that they're just like rolling up to people and whoop-ah, like it's roots or something? Like I don't understand. I guess even if it was a little rain thing that looked like that. If they're like just chasing people down and doing it, that's one thing. But if they are doing their job and then people are attacking them, that would also be a different story. I mean, it really does matter. I don't know if the photographer had a nice camera, why didn't he take a freaking video? He could have taken photos from that nice quality video and then taken frames out of that. Let's see the video, not the stupid pictures. Pictures are great, but again, for something like that, do you also have a GoPro video of what actually happened there? Journalists should.
Yeah. And this is really putting the administration and Border Patrol at odds with each other, because the administration, like I said, has just automatically concluded that this has happened and then said it's extremely wrong and said they will pay for it. And they're coming out saying, wait a minute, what are you talking about? We ride horses. This is how we ride horses. And no, we weren't out cracking whips or anything like that. And you can't do that to us, right? Like, and so they actually they removed all horsebacks from Border Patrol. I think it was a day or two ago.
Oh my God. Are you literally, do you guys see what is actually happening here? They're letting people just walk in. Like, this is just crazy. What are you doing? They've had horsebacks forever. The terrain is horrendous, and with horseback, it actually makes it possible for human beings to travel among. They're dealing with drug dealers. They're dealing with coyotes. They're dealing with human traffic. And then right now they have this situation totally distracted. And then we know there's sleeper cells coming in. How is this the same gentleman who is supposedly ahead of seeing all these other departments? Like, this is so obvious. I mean, like, you have DOD, Department of Defense, Department of Homeland Security, and they're all like, what are you doing? Like, we've got to protect the homeland. What? I don't get it. Whether you're on this side or that side of the aisle, this is just insane. How do people go with that and go, yeah, this is just what's wrong? Why don't they wait for the actual videos that came off of these guys? Don't you think that they probably have, cams? Why don't we ever wait for the body cams? Why don't we ever wait for body cams ever? Just wait.
Because it doesn't fit the sensationalism. It doesn't fit the divisiveness that they like to create. They pull the R card out, right? And pit everyone against one another and say, look at this R action that's happening.
And show a man like this,
right? And
and a man like that.
We have a photograph, and look at this picture. It's so horrible. It brings back memories of a time long, long ago.
And look at how the video of it happening is now unavailable. I don't know what this video was. Maybe Dex, check what this video that it said. This video is unavailable. I wonder why that is, right? Maybe it's the original video. Maybe it is. Maybe he did videotape the scenario there. I don't know. Either way, just absolutely crazy. I mean, like, doesn't matter. Okay, support the guy. But for this, why would you make a decision like that so quickly? Why would you say, these guys are doing this and we're no longer having this? That's like saying, oh man, somebody ran somebody over with a cop car, or somebody shot somebody outside of with a cop car with a gun, right? So we're going to take all the cop cars off of the force. Why would you take away the horseback because the actions of a rider? That doesn't make any sense. That's their transportation. The horse didn't do it. But so what are they doing? Is because why wouldn't, I mean, if you look common sense, why wouldn't they say, okay, well, you can't have the reins then? If you can ride without that, then you can still use the horses. Take away the things that go whoopah, or give them one of those things that you turn your freaking blinds with. It can't reach anything. It's literally a piece of plastic only good for one thing. Okay, give them that. Why would you take the horses? That's just the dumbest thing I've ever heard. What do you think, though? If you disagree, we can still get along. Can't we all just get along? Horses and people all alike. I like horses. You like horses. We all like horses. They shouldn't suffer for our idiocracy. JN57 says, thank you for all your hard work, guys. Stay safe. And then the Real Sift says, please watch and share. I don't know what that is, but I will check it out if I can. Dixie Doe, the Real Sift, thank you. Angela1609, Maui Racing Realtor. We've got, of course, Bear Claws and Saul to Paul. Haven't seen you here in a minute. And then Droidhead74, thank you for following. Welcome to the Foogle fam. Goddess from Goddess Thorn, thank you for following. If you're from Seattle, there was a Goddess Kringen on free television. If you know who Goddess Kringen is, put it in the chat what crazy things she would do on public television. On like back when we actually had free television where anything flew. That was when I was a kid. Let's see here. And just to make sure, we Bright Eyes, thank you, Delaware Sasquatch again. Watchful and alert, just me is thought you. Mick Van Sickler. Dorothy Tucker says, riding crop. Walk with Me 76 says, biblical, the ships lined the coast and watched as mystery Babylon burns, wondering who will buy their goods. Babylon deceived the world with sorcery. Pharmacia, wake up, it's now. Walk with me, good point. And then FFX 80 Grinding says, if you send $10 worth of Bitcoin to Dex, anyone can see it due to its open source coding. If you send, if you send $10, hold on, wouldn't pull it up again. Come on. If you send $10 in Pirate Chain, no one but Dex can see it due to the privacy coding on the blockchain. I don't know what the difference. Dex, what is the difference between Pirate Chain? What is all that?
Yeah, so there's multiple privacy coins out there that are similar to Bitcoin. They're their own cryptocurrency, but they've been designed in a way that you can't see the transactions. The only person that can see the transaction is the actual owner that received the transaction, right? So whereas Bitcoin is an open ledger where everyone can see anything that happens, then I can see that one wallet transferred $10 to another wallet. So I can always backtrace everything forever, right? But once you move into one of these privacy coins, it becomes much more difficult. It's not impossible on some of them. It is yet to be proven on others, but it is still much more private in the sense that you can't necessarily tell. So you can sort of move money into those coins and it becomes lost or washed, so to speak. And those privacy coins are obviously used by people that want either extreme privacy or doing things that they,
money laundering,
don't want. Yeah, that kind of, Silk Road,
or they
drugs,
just don't,
etc.
or they just don't want to be tracked. So one thing about that though, but you would have to know that. So say somebody sends Dex $10, wouldn't you have to know the wallet number, know all of that to know that somebody even gave him it? And wouldn't it be like, oh, right, I found one wallet number giving this wallet number Bitcoin?
Right. So you wouldn't know, but like, here's how you would know. So let's say somebody sent $10 to Dex and Dex sent $10 to Coinbase and then used Coinbase to turn that $10 of Bitcoin into $10 in cash and then moved it to my bank account, right? So that I actually had it in cash as opposed to crypto. Well, now Coinbase has it. And if, say, the IRS wants to look at Coinbase, they can then go from Coinbase to Dex's wallet and then see from that. Now they know that wallet identity is Dex's. And then they can then look at all the transactions that have come in and start backtracing from there. And if they happen to know those other wallets, then they can start to know who gave that money or that transferred that money or those wallet funds to the other wallet. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, thank you for the simplistic explanation there, because I don't understand any of that stuff. As far as that goes, basically, if you knew a time too, especially if you knew that you did it, like if you were sitting at lunch with you could go and look and go, oh, I know which one that was because it happened exactly this time, or you could narrow it down at that point.
Yeah, and just another on the side, there's different ways to exchange. So when I talked about Coinbase, that's a way to exchange one token to something else, like fiat money, like US dollars, or exchanging them to another coin. And all of these exchanges are also places in which would know you, right? But then there are things called there are other exchanges that are not run by a central company like Coinbase, right? They're more of I don't remember the term for it, but it's a distributed exchange is the term, so that when you're transferring funds from one coin to another, it's not done in a way that a central company actually knows who it is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, and that's where these privacy coins come into play. A lot of people will do that into the privacy coins so they don't get tracked.
Well, I know I won't be. Still, I'm going to be the last one, and everybody's going to say, we told you so. Brian D says, spraying nanotech ver on CITES. Don't blame you, Michigan Lifestyle, says Kara Fogelbahn. We've got Michigan Lifestyle here, Mana, Island by the Sea, Angel McConnell, Bright Eyes, Murphy's Law, Lakeside Laura, thank you for being here. There's so many awesome people in this chat right now. We've got Mighty Tort, we've got Vape King, Helix Maxter, LSC, we've got Karen from Columbus. Some of my favorite people are in here. Annoy B, it's been a few days, I believe. You weren't here yesterday, were you? Inverted Earth, thank you. Nance P, One on B. Make sure to thank all of your mods in the chat right now that are doing an awesome job to keep everything awesome and safe. Let's get an M in the chat for the mods. Again, let's get an M in the chat for the mods. And then I did miss one person, I believe. I missed Eddie Dean Lewis. In 1930, Rudolf Steiner predicted a JAB that removed contact with our soul. Also, did you see Washington State hiring a strike team workers for isolation facility? I did, and I still don't. I don't know what to think about that. That one article says that they removed it, and then they did. I would believe it. I just wish they wouldn't have removed it. I wish they would have just left it, because that does put doubt that maybe, because I personally have seen people make fake articles, or they will take it and they'll alter it in Photoshop. I saw this early on, and I met the person, and I said, wow, you are like a crappy individual. But again, I don't talk badly about it. And they ended up getting deleted. So And it was for something that was fake. So it's kind of like that's why you don't do that. Friends of ours visited Chicago. A lot of people followed him too. A lot of people. Hello, Foogle family. Waiting from Raleigh. Saw that one. And then Kelly DeGand says, what if they're filled with Chinese military and equipment? Dex. Oh, that is creepy. What if all of those containers were filled with Chinese? Oh my gosh. That is creepy. What if all of those containers were filled with Chinese troops and they had food and they had everything else and then... Oh, that is so creepy. Like instead of the supplies that were supposed to be on those ships from China, there were actual troops.
Yeah, I can understand equipment. And maybe I'm naive to think that people would be in the containers themselves. On the ships, yes.
How do you think human trafficking works?
Yeah, I guess.
And what do you think you need? They're not airtight, or at least most of them aren't. Maybe the refrigerated ones, but the regular containers, people live in those decks. People actually make bunkers and houses out of them. So
yeah, I get that, but when they're stacked up and stacked up and stacked up and sitting in the ocean for a month and you can't get in and out of it, like how do you deal with facilities in and out of each container? 2,000 containers.
You're talking about soldiers. How would a soldier deal with that if they were in there? They would use a bucket. They would have food supplies. I mean, think about it. It's also China. If it was to happen, just saying, yeah, no, it's not probable, but think about that. What if they are, they could make these things. They could have planned this years ahead, just like we've seen the actual, the nuke launching containers where the actual missile comes out of the container.
Yeah,
I mean,
that one is more plausible to me. Like having a whole bunch of equipment sitting out there, waiting for troops to either roll in or troops that may already be planted north and south. Who knows, right?
And well, yeah, like in Canada, where they did this deal where they could watch their own property and not tell the Canadian government that they're there. That's an actual agreement between Canada and them. They can send in 60,000 troops and put them right on the Canadian border of the USA and not tell a single soul because of an agreement. If they own a property at the border, then they can go in and protect their interests. As far as they could have tanks and all this stuff in the containers. And guess what? China runs a lot of the ports now. They also own a lot of the waterfront. What if that? I mean, now that's just a crazy theory, right? But they bought up all of the waterfront properties. All of the waterfront literal beach houses. So they could pull up and secretly load things up. I mean, they could even load in smaller batches without being noticed. They could just bring in one thing after another. Troops. Jay Bobo, that's right. Ghost Rider, not so crazy. No, it's not.
Yeah, I was going to say, I could see troops on the ship, maybe with a facade of containers above them.
Foogled Electromag says, just make sure you're on you're the one in the top container when facilities are needed. Yeah. I would not want to be on the bottom. All right, Dex, after you say what you need to say, we'll get the next caller on.
Yeah, that top bunk though may be dry, but it's going to be awfully hot.
This is so.
They're baking. The guy in the bottom is probably nice and cool.
The bottom bunk is sitting in R. Kelly sweat. So, yeah. All right, let's move on. Okay, let's get. We have Major Lee on the phone. Major Lee. Come on in. It says etymology of the word mark. See photos. And I've got some links here, so I'm going to pop up and show you some stuff. So we'll see what Major Lee has to say. Let's see here.
Hello, Adam. Can you hear me?
Hey, what's going on? Major Lee, you are live.
Hey, man. How you doing?
What's happening?
Oh, not a lot. So after that first call, it kind of sparked some inspiration. Something I've been meaning to call about for a while is the etymology of the word mark, as it's seen in a particular verse towards the end of the Bible. And if you look and go through picture by picture, that first picture, right? So it shows a word-for-word translation from the ancient Greek that it was originally written in, right? And so the word would be paragma. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. But what that word means, is a stamp, imprinted, yada yada yada, right? Like, so that's pretty obvious. You go to the next page, or the next picture.
Okay, one sec.
Yep.
A stamp, an imprinted mark. Got it.
Yep. Right. Now the root of that word is the third picture, I believe, pronounced Shirax, Rex. So this word, Shiragma, comes from the word Shirax, which is a like a stake or a palisade, right? Like you think of like a property mark, right? That marks boundary lines. That's what the original word, that's where it comes from. It's a stamp. It's to mark property, etc. But specifically, a pale or stake or a palisade. The final picture is palisades. What those look like.
That I've always heard the word palisades, and I did not know what they were. To be honest, you see it on apartments, like the palisades, and so it's almost like the pointy edges that prevented people from coming in from castles.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So that's a palisade. So when you take that back to the verse, right, that talks about how people will be required to take this mark, and it's coming from this picture, so to speak.
Oh my gosh!
Idea.
So
I just figured I'd throw that out there.
The sharp object, the poke, the point.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Do you see what he did there? To take the mark, and then what the mark in the Bible actually was going back and referring to was basically all leading back to these pointy things here, right? And man, oh man,
yep.
When you look at that picture, that sure looks like a zoomed-in picture of you know what?
Of one of those things. Yeah, exactly. So now it gets take it a step further. You're talking about blockchain and blockchain technology. I think you talked about it actually at one point. That good old patent number 2020060606.
Yep.
By our good friend Gilly, here just down the road in Washington. That patent is to turn us all into basically like little servers. We're all mining cryptocurrency as we're just walking around doing our thing. Okay? And he's back in the news recently, right? But how this all ties in, from my understanding of it, anyways, is if you look at the next generation of these pokey deals that they're doing, and who's heavily invested in it, the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency. You know who that is
DARPA.
Heavily invested in the next rounds. And their programs, if you read into them a little bit, they're terrifying. They make it sound like it could be a good thing, but they're terrifying when you really think about it. Particularly digit technology. It's protect it with denim editing technology. but not denim. If you get my drift.
Yes. Yes.
Yep.
Jeans.
And it's all about surveillance, and it's about catching the next strain before it gets out to the public. But if it's mutating within people, they're surveilling people. They're surveilling this. I think you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. No. I'm actually gonna I'm gonna pull something up on the screen. What we just found as well. A piece just came out on. Let's see here. This. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in on this. Flying microchips may be the future of surveillance. This is a pencil tip. Okay, so if you have a pencil around, grab it, and then think about the real size of that. In fact, just imagine holding a pencil in your hand, look down at your hand, and then think about the very tip of that lead. This microchip flying object, it's a flying object about, the size of a gnat, is actually a microchip. And it says the size of a sand grain could be used for, get this, population surveillance. Surveillance. And yes, I said it. That is the scariest crap I've ever seen. And this is the level we're at right now, or the governments are at. Civilians, they don't let this go down. Well, civilians don't have the money. Who has the money to do these kind of crazy, weird experiments? The governments, the people in charge. And they'll use them.
With our money.
Exactly.
They've got our money. Yeah, so it's all just coming together all too perfectly.
I think it's really obvious, and that's why I say just follow your gut. You're not crazy. There's so many people that doubt themselves. They have, the thing is they end up, I've known a lot of people that were actually kind of more awake, and then they just went right back to sleep because they started doubting themselves, or maybe they made a friend in the last couple of years that, kind of convinced them onto the other side, or made them doubt themselves. Always go with your gut.
Absolutely. When I always say, question doubt nothing and question everything, even yourself. But doubt nothing. Don't ever just write something off because it's just absurd. Consider it first. I mean, just facts are stranger than fiction these days.
Our world is the things that they consider fact. I mean, we're on a ball floating through an endless universe that very well could be the nervous system of a human being that we're inside of. We could be a blood cell. We could be an atom. My name is Adam. I could be an atom in somebody else's body, and all of these universes could literally be one synapse inside of somebody else's brain, walking along in a giant world. The end of Men in Black, where all of this is inside of a marble in some, stupid game on a alien's table. Any of that, we could be in a simulation. We could be this. We could be that. Whatever the thousands of things. But the accepted facts of the stuff we know, even the animals in the bottom of the sea that can do amazing things. There's animals that can live indefinitely, essentially, at the bottom of the oceans that can keep recreating themselves from nothing. There are animals that there's like a phoenix type of animal down in the sea that dies, becomes a part of the coral, and then the coral turns into the animal again, and it just keeps going. And they say that they could be hundreds of thousands of years old. I mean, there's things that just defy anything we think is normal. So why don't we all start thinking outside the box? Major Lee, thank you for calling in.
Sound like a bit of a conspiracy theorist there, bro.
That's what I do, bro.
That is all right. Oh, one last thing for you before I go. You had mentioned those cities, Sodom and Gomorrah, the other day. And I wanted to just kind of throw it out there to you. A guy named Ron Wyatt. I'm sure a lot of your, the Fugo fam has heard of him. But he made some really incredible discoveries. And one of those was what is believed to be Sodom and Gomorrah. Well, one or the other, anyways, or both maybe. But they found it's like essentially like sulfur, I guess, like rocks, like balls of sulfur that are like buried into like the stone and stuff of what used to be a city, presumably. You can see like how the buildings were and everything. You can see their shapes, and there's like these balls, small balls, like golf ball size, and of sulfur. They're brimstone. That's what it is, and they're still flammable. Shows them, they light one on fire and it just sits there and burns and burns and burns. Yeah, pretty crazy.
By the way, another thing Ron Wyatt, obviously on the screen, is his discovery of what he believes, or what people believed, was the Noah's Ark. What a trip.
As well as the bottom of the Red Sea. He found coral reef that were shaped exactly like chariot wheels and axles from Ramesses the first days, when Moses took off with the Hebrews. They found all of these, because the metal, of course, is gone. Like the chariots, it's all gone now. But the coral has taken the shape. And apparently, they said that they tested the coral and found really high levels of metal within this coral, and they're shaped exactly like spit and image. There's no mistaking it for anything else. That's an axle.
Now I want to see that. So again, what would that be, like Atlantis? Or would
that's when when Moses parted the sea.
Oh
and the
my
Hebrews,
gosh!
Right, took off across it.
I didn't even put two and two together.
So then when they got safely to the other side, Pharaoh and his army, military, were chasing them, were hot on their heels, and water just came in and crushed them, wiped them all out. All those chariots.
Oh, that is such a trip.
Yeah, they did took a trip and have done it a couple of times at least, I want to say, but they followed the whole route from Saudi Arabia to, I guess, Egypt, through Saudi Arabia and all that basically the whole path of Moses. And it's incredible. Like Mount Sinai, they found, stuff that they found. They found, at Mount Sinai, right? So God came down on top of the mountain in this big fiery ball. And there's a mountain there. I can't remember the name of the mountain now off the top of my head. It starts with an H. But the top of this mountain is charred. Not like a weird kind of rock. It's actually just charred. It's not very deep into the mountain. And no other mountains around it are like that. It's totally a one-off thing.
Like the burning bush.
They found it. Kind of. This was before the Ten Commandments were. Well, when God came down to the mountain to deliver the Ten Commandments to Moses to kind of hash out their covenant, God came down and touched the mountain as he was like this giant ball of fire that came down from the sky and touched the mountain. So at the top of this hill, this big mountain, it's just blackened, just right around the top. No other area in the whole, no other section of patch of land around it that's like that. Just this one big, right there on top of the mountain.
So by the way,
at the base of that mountain, they found,
No. Finish up.
Well, at the base of that mountain, they found, a mass grave, and they found a bunch of gold melted into the dirt, the gold where the golden calf was that the people were worshiping, and then all those people were executed and put in a mass grave. But the whole trip, man, the whole thing, they mapped out and found all this evidence all along the line. And sure, a lot of it could be just circumstantial, but so much circumstantial evidence that you're what are the odds that all of these things, You know?
Well, I'm one who believes that all of these things happened, and that, you know, I guess most people think that it may have been or that a little bit of telephone may have happened and it might have been different. But what is really trippy, and what I wanted to say is what the caller was referencing as far as the very beginning was they found an area in the Middle East that had layers of essentially ash and diamonds from what looks like the area that could have been, of course, ancient Sodom and Gomorrah. And they think it possibly was hit with a meteor, and the meteor blew up right above the ground to the point where it just flashed everything, even human bones. So the bodies just went whoosh, and the bones scattered everywhere, and that it was so powerful that it turned like the charcoal into diamonds, and it was in the ground there, and then that got covered in dirt and so.
Crazy.
And now, basically, and then they found saltified bones. Right. That's the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. And scientists are the ones, archaeologists are the ones confirming it.
Interesting. I wonder where that is. I'm going to have to look that up. I'm going to have to do some digging.
Okay, so that's how the link to that. Oh, we didn't, because I've pulled that into the show. Look up meteor Sodom Gomorrah, and you'll most likely find that. Anyways, it looks like we only have 3 minutes left before we hit that 2-hour cutoff mark at YouTube. So I appreciate you, and I want to thank you for everything.
Oh, of course, man. Thank you, and thank you, for all that you do. You guys rock.
All right, well, great call, man. Major Lee, I appreciate you, and have a good night. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. All right, Dex, thank you for your service tonight. It looks like the outro will be short on YouTube. I do want to say thank you to Radar2Go for subscribing. Gone Girl 777, thank you, everybody. You can always continue on the show over on to Marfoogle Jams. If you're not subscribed over there, you need to be. At least we're gonna be experimenting over there as well for other stuff. And then Marfoogle News, our other main channel, we're gonna experiment with some shorts, short content. Dex, love you, brother.
Much love. Great show.
I want all of you guys to have a wonderful night. If you've never been here for a shoutro, it's where I say thank you to the people matter most. You are our backup, and you are our Foogle fam. Thank the mods again. Thank them for being amazing. Thank you, Gone Girl, for your support over on DLive. It looks like, Gone Girl, you indeed, I believe, were our #1 supporter. Thank you again, Barbara Jagal and Lisa K23 for being our top 3. Have a good night, be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. Shoutro!